Hi, I'm Matt Southam. Welcome to the Stretch Zone podcast, where each week we get together with entrepreneurs, business owners and professionals to discuss their experiences in pushing to reach their goals and what principles we can apply in our own lives in order to learn, grow and succeed. Well, welcome to the Stretch Zone. Well, it's an absolute pleasure to have you here today. First of all, can you just introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about your background and what you are currently doing?
Yeah, no problem at all. So my background, I've got a bit of a bizarre background, if I'm honest with you, because there's so many strings to the bow, per se. So my background is, I started off a number of years ago. Originally, I was going to go to university, Exeter actually, fantastic place, and I was going to do astrophysics. But the band I was in at the time, we actually ended up getting a small record deal.
Okay.
And I thought, we've got one of two options here. I can go and actually throw myself into work and study, or I actually just go and have fun for the next couple of years, which I did take the latter option. And yeah, here we are today. So yeah, actually I spent the first part of my adult life after college actually touring a lot and playing all sorts of venues and going abroad and what have you, but as I got older, I'm still in that band, by the way, Modern Strangers, if you want to check us out. So still in that same band, but as I've grown up, there are very specific periods of the year where activity becomes a little bit lulled, and as I started getting older and realising actually, I want to have a, not a sustainable future per se, but something which actually keeps me going for the entire year, keeps my brain
regular
active.
income.
Yeah, exactly. As I said, actually, I wanted to go into business. So we'll talk about this another time or later on in the podcast, but I started a drinks company, which basically went from a family recipe, my nan used to make it at home kind of thing, to now we're trading across most of the UK and now internationally in pretty much all of the supermarkets you can think of, which is great. And then the third thing is that me and my business partner, Michael, who I believe you know, we run a sustainable clothing brand as well. So we produce fitness clothing out of things like bamboo and sustainable materials. And that's the nutshell answer.
Okay. Well, let's talk a little bit more about that then, because what was the motivation or the reasons getting into business? You mentioned you wanted a sort of regular income. But talk me through that sort of motivation of setting up a business or starting a business and eventually growing a business and starting a second business.
Yeah.
How does that all...
It's a strange one because I would actually say as I've A, got older and B, got more experience with running a business, my motivators actually change over time. Okay. So I think originally when I went into, let's talk about the music to start with, that was absolutely about having effectively free holidays and getting to travel around the world, getting to play fantastic venues and basically do something that I was really passionate about, which is playing the drums. And getting paid for it. Yeah.
So it was like, the lifestyle was the motivation, and you got paid as well.
Exactly.
Absolute winner.
And it was all about just having fun with my friends, and it very much still is. When we go and play shows and all the rest of it, I go back to 18-year-old me. My mindset completely changes, and it's all about just having a fantastic time, seeing a crowd of people enjoy themselves, and that's kind of where it ends. The reason, however, for doing the other businesses are slightly different, and again, if we move along this sort of the age timeline, they've definitely changed. So when I started the drinks company, I'd always wanted to work with my dad.
Okay.
We get on very, very, very well together, and we'd always spoken for years, right back to when I was a kid. We'd always come up with these bizarre ideas and things that were obviously never going to happen. They were ridiculous, but we'd always spoken for a really, really, really long time about doing something together. So when it was actually the band that motivated me to start the drinks business. Actually, a quick story.
Give us a quick.
We actually spent all of 2004, 13 and 14 actually, playing shows here, there, and everywhere, and that particular summer we had done Tea in the Park and we did Hyde Park. The Rolling Stones, they did the Hyde Park show. Yeah. We did that show.
Okay, wow.
Which was insane. It was like the hottest summer ever. So we did Tea in the Park. We'd gone to Germany and we played on national television over there. And we went to Gibraltar and Sweden, all these amazing places. And we got to the end of the year, and of course we weren't quite at that level where we had roadies taking stuff around in great big Arctic lorries and all that kind of stuff. I mean, we were literally driving ourselves around in these clapped out little cars that they were going to fall apart at any second. And I got to the end of the year, and it's the unfortunate part of playing a band and playing music and all the rest of it, and especially headlining shows. It sounds glamorous, but you actually spend most of your time incredibly tired. You don't eat well at all. You don't drink well. You're very sleep deprived. You're also physically exerting a lot of calories, like every single day, pretty much. Playing drums and lugging around heavy equipment.
It's a workout, isn't it?
It's a proper workout, yeah. And when the replenishment is, a meal deal sandwich with barely any filling in it, a packet of crisps and a bottle of water, it's not really doing you much good. So we got to the very, very, very end of the tour. And we finished up in a place called Portishead, which is just outside of Bristol. That's where we were staying. And obviously we go and do what any band is going to do at the end of a tour. And the next day, it was like the entire year had caught up on me. So I remember walking around Tesco, Sainsbury's, Asda, whatever the shop was. And I was looking at their soft drinks range and seeing all the, I've got to be careful now just in case any competitors watch this, but I'm seeing all the generic energy drinks that we all know. I'm seeing all of the isotonic sport drinks that we all know, and the waters, which don't really do anything. And I'm like, I could really do with some of the drink that my nan used to make when I was a kid, and my dad was a kid, and for generations before that, which was effectively a natural recovery drink. Okay, that's exactly what it was. And I was like, if only you could buy that. And so the combination...
It's like a light bulb moment.
It really was, because my dad was actually, at the time, he was only just across the bridge in a place called Newport, so it's just the other side of the River Severn. You can see it if you stand on the coast. So I called him up and I was like, what do you think? And that's kind of how that got started. So a combination of wanting to do something with my dad, having this idea which was inspired by something I loved anyway, combined with the fact that we were about to go into a period of the year where actually we were about to record an album, and we weren't actually doing anything live at all. That was the lull of the year. So I thought, I've got to keep active. So I think back then, really the motivation for starting that business was very much one of, it sounds cool, I want to work with Dad, it's something that I can relate to because it's passionate, it's inspired by something I already do, etc. And then, of course, you've got the naive mid-20s part of me which goes, I'm going to be rich overnight, I'm going to be a millionaire, blah, 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 he says. So that was that one. Obviously, we've built it up to a level now which has taken many more years than I ever imagined it to be. And I've learned more about myself and my family members and my friends and my colleagues and all the rest of it than I would have ever imagined. Probably arguably more so than if I had have gone to university.
Okay, yeah.
As I've got older, however, motivations begin to change, and the more I've learned about this particular soft drinks industry, and I see just some of the processes, the way things are done, and the way business is handled by big corporations, and the practices that go on in store, the more I'm beginning to go, actually, this is less about trying to make it big and all the rest of it. This is now actually trying to fundamentally change the way things are done. There are so many, and I've got to be careful with what I say, obviously, but there are so many things that I've discovered now where I go, that's so archaic. Why do you do it like that?
Yeah.
And I've had proper rows now. Well, I'm not joking. I've had proper arguments with big companies, big supermarket chains, big retail brands that we all walk past on the high street, and I've had proper arguments over things saying, why do you do it like this? This is the most idiotic way. Why didn't you do it like this? Manufacturers that have just done it and so it's become kind of a little bit less so about building up a business and actually trying to have a bit of an influence on the industry.
Let's disrupt the industry.
Exactly. Produce something which isn't just, insert name, another energy drink or something like that. We actually want to be something different and actually make a mark and be something that people can be proud of, that did come from a family origin, has remained within a family and has been responsible for some change. So that I don't know, that psychology of wanting to disrupt and wanting to change things, I think has led me into a different mindset now, which is then Tidal.
Yes.
So I should probably mention the name of my other business. So the soft drinks company is called Overhang. So yeah, you can find that in Tesco and Asda, Morrison's and Hollands and Barrett and all the rest of it. You can just overhangdrinks.com. You can check out the website. All our stockists are on there, or Facebook or Instagram or anything. You can find that anywhere. So, but the sustainable clothing, Tidal, TYDL, tidalfitness.com, that has spurred on from the mind state that I'm currently in from Overhang.
Okay. Yeah.
Which is more about disruption, changing the way things are done. So with that, I noticed that so the fashion industry or the textiles industry is one of the biggest contributors to carbon emissions and pollution of any industry in the world, only second to things like steel production and oil production and so on. So what we believed the root cause of that is actually the processes that are in place that end up producing the textiles. If you take things like cotton, it's actually quite resource heavy. It uses a lot of water, you need a lot of pesticides, a lot of processing power to go into it and so on and so forth. It's not that durable really. After time it will stretch, not stretch down, but and so on and so forth.
And we're in quite a fast turnaround of clothes, aren't we? I know the fashion industry's got a real issue at the moment that fashion's become quite disposable.
It doesn't last.
Doesn't last. We buy cheap items, wear them a few times and get rid of them.
This is it. So actually one of the motivations for starting Tidal is that everyone's going to be working out. Everyone is, well I say everyone, not everyone.
You'd like everyone to be. We know we should be doing some sort of exercise. Yeah.
A lot of people work out, let's say. And that's not really going to go away. People are going to do it regardless. So we thought, well, actually, if we could try and look at the production process and stop producing things which are so resource intensive at the front end. So we stop using lots of refined plastics and oil derived materials. And we stop producing things which actually have only got probably a 6-month shelf life on them, and things which end up stinking after 10 workouts and stuff like that. If we actually make something which is going to last, which is high quality, which is made from a material which is actually sustainable and all the rest of it, then actually we're not contributing as much to the problem.
No.
And so hence why we started Tidal. So we use things like bamboo instead, which is one of the fastest growing raw materials, doesn't need pesticides whatsoever, it's hypoallergenic, so it's really good on your skin. It doesn't smell because it's antibacterial. So all of these problems that would typically be associated with synthetics and cotton are now eliminated. They don't exist in bamboo. So yeah, and the short answer to your question is motivations change over time.
Yeah, and I think that's really interesting. I think that it's so true for a lot of business owners that, lots of us are first of all, I think I'm going to start a business. I don't want to work for someone. I want to work for myself. I want to earn lots of money, have lots of time, be time rich as well as managing. It's quite quick. Quite a quick lesson to learn. It isn't always like that.
Oh, absolutely.
And I think it's really important that there are other motivators, because if you don't have, if your only motivator is the money and time, you'll soon realise you're not getting that.
100%.
And then your business is gone.
Yeah.
You need other motivators, and to be passionate about what it is you're doing, why you're doing it, the customers that you're serving, and that's the way to grow a business.
Well, you need. You run multiple things. You've got MJS Media and you do DJing and so on and so forth. So you need a reason to get up at 5:30 in the morning and go to bed at 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you weren't passionate about something, or you didn't have any other reason, par money and time, you very quickly realise when you start a business, you don't have money and you don't have time.
No.
So if they're your only motivators, then it's not going to work out.
No.
Full stop.
Yes.
There's got to be something else.
I think that's got to be the biggest lesson from today. For anyone listening to this who maybe is thinking about going into business, yes, work towards getting those, but you need a real reason to actually be doing this, because it's going to be hard.
Yeah.
It's not all private jets and fast cars. It's just not.
Well, the other thing that I would add to that as well, almost the proof to this concept, because again, if anyone is listening to this and thinking, oh no, I just want money, the number of people that I've met along the way, as I'm sure you have as well, that have made it. They already have a fortune. I met some people, I met a guy not that long ago who their company was actually producing a lot of the own brand chocolates for all of the supermarkets. In fact, they were one of the only ones in the UK that were doing free from chocolates, which there was no cross-contamination and all the rest of it. So they had some massive, massive contracts. And I won't quote the figure that business was sold for out of respect, but it was like an eye-watering amount of money. The sort of thing that you only ever hear about in Forbes kind of thing. It was unbelievable. What does he do now? Charity work. That's it. He only does charity work because he has more money than sense now, and all he wants to do is now contribute back to society. Yeah. So he now teaches, he will give entrepreneurs like myself business advice. He doesn't want money for it at all. No. He gives business advice. He works with local charities. The RSPB is one of them as well. Looks after, he talks on certain environmental panels and stuff like that. And I said, well, why are you doing all that? You've got all this money, you could do anything right now. And he said, well, actually, the money and the success and all that was never a motivator of mine at all. That was just a byproduct of my business. My passions are environment, teaching and helping and all the rest of it. And it's really funny how so many people that I've met who are very, very wealthy, they've made a lot of money in their time, and they now do have a time abundance. But is that what they're focusing on now? No. Most people are doing something else that they're passionate about. Yeah. Obviously, they've got the luxury of time to do that, granted.
Yeah, but it does just show that, actually money is only a very short-term motivator anyway. You see that when people get a pay rise, they're all excited, and actually next year they're looking for another one. It's a short-term motivator. It is. It's something obviously we do all need it to exist, and I'm not saying, don't have a business that actually turns over a sum that actually keeps you going and pays your bills, but you need something else to keep you going.
Because of course, when you do have another motivation, let's take music, for example, going right back to the roots. So there was a year that I can remember what year would this have been? This would have been almost 10 years ago. So we're talking about, actually I think it was about 2011, 2012. Okay. I can remember there was a year that we played over 100 shows in that year. This was before we had a booking agent. This was before we had proper management. We had a record deal somehow, but that kind of meant nothing at the time. So we played over 100 terrible, terrible, terrible bar shows, pub shows, ones where literally the crowd is the other band. Yeah. And all the rest of it.
Waiting to go on.
Yeah, and I just cannot wait to go home. And ones where I can remember playing in Maidstone, for example, and we're outdoors on the 29th of December, and it's raining, and there's no cover at all. And I've got water dripping down my back, and I'm freezing. My cat had passed away that day, so I was in the most foul, miserable mood known to man. But if the motivator was, let's just get big, let's just get rich, we're going to absolutely smash it and all the rest of it, then frankly, we would never have lasted 1 year. We would have got probably 20 shows in and got, this is just not worth it, this is awful. And we wouldn't have carried on. But what's that, 8 years later, we're still doing it. We're still incredibly passionate about music because actually we like making music. We love what we're producing. We love the buzz of going to a show. The money and all the rest of it, that's just a byproduct. Yeah. And they always say that actually if you are passionate about something and you've got other reasons to do what you do, the money will come later. Yeah. But that shouldn't be number one reason.
No. Well, it's been fantastic to talk to you today, and it's been a great insight into your journey on growing these businesses, and genuinely wish you all the luck on future endeavours.
Thanks, man.
So, cheers.
Appreciate that.
Thank you for watching the Stretch Zone podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, why not subscribe using the links below?